anything else we want to discuss? The Chargers coaching carousel continues. We just interviewed Jim Harbaugh. Jim, I'm making trying to get his name right this time. Jim Harbaugh. We just interviewed him a couple of days ago, and are continuing to make our rounds in our coaching search. And wow, we see that Coach Harbaugh was a guy that once was here and would be welcomed back as the new face of this squad going forward. There's new names that have entered the mix that could shake things up a little bit. It seemed like he was the 1A for a lot of folks, even though we discussed Belichick and others. But now there's new names as well since we last talked. There's Vrabel. There's rumors of I think he just denied it. But I think Mike Tomlin just took his name out of it. But there are multiple names. We might see some other names in these playoffs that might get left. We might see a Sirianni or something like that. All of a sudden become available. That might be of intrigue to the Chargers.
Mike McCarthy or whatever too, yeah.
McCarthy or whoever, correct. So as things have gone along, have any names popped out to you that usurp Jim Harbaugh in this search that you want to see potentially take the job instead of him?
Not really. I think Harbaugh and Belichick are still like the better options of the guys that have been let go. Vrabel's a good coach too, but hasn't quite had like the singular success on his own as a head coach. And I think Harbaugh, go for it.
I'll go ahead and jump in right there. Actually, there are folks that actually like Vrabel a lot. We posted a poll a couple of days ago about any of the new names. Vrabel got a few votes in regards to folks.
He's a really good coach.
He's a real good coach, and the Titans thing kind of fell apart at the end, and they didn't really see eye to eye on what the next move should be. But he has showed during that time that they weren't ever necessarily a top roster in the league, but they still achieved to a good level while he was there. And him being a little bit younger than the other options as well, maybe keeping a little bit more longer term than you would for Harbaugh or Belichick. While also not maybe having to give up as much power. We see how Harbaugh kind of controls the room when he's in certain places. We know for damn near a fact at this point that Belichick, he's going to want to run the show most likely if he shows up here. So Vrabel, who definitely has his own say, of course, but may not be as demanding, I guess, as Harbaugh or Belichick, could be a nice way to turn.
Mm-hmm. I believe Belichick has said, or maybe it's just been rumored, that like he's maybe willing to give up some of that control, like in his later years of coaching now, just having done that like for so long with New England. It is a lot being the head coach and also like making roster decisions like GM and that kind of thing too. But to those points, I think Harbaugh and Belichick for that matter, but especially Harbaugh, are kind of known to be like culture changers and shifters. And I think the Chargers really could use that. Not to say that Vrabel wouldn't be in his own right, because he comes from that New England system and a coaching tree. But Harbaugh, especially coming into San Francisco and then coming into Michigan, has been known to be a major culture changer, culture shifter. And I think the Chargers truly of any NFL team like could really use that in terms of, we've talked about them being cursed or not cursed, or just the way they've had these underwhelming seasons year after year, even when the expectations are high and the roster looks good. But being able to bring in a new winning culture, I think would be huge for this team. And I think him and Belichick, for me, as I mentioned too, I think just the playoff success is something that I would view higher if I was hiring a new head coach for the Chargers. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad hire either if you were to go for Vrabel. The last couple seasons in Tennessee, I believe, were under 500, so it was understandable why they let him go from Tennessee. On the same token of the rosters, as you mentioned, weren't as great as a lot of teams around the league, and they kind of did a lot with less at times. But he hasn't quite had, as a head coach, like the playoff success that you hope to have for the Chargers. So he would be like a little bit lower on the rung for me, but I don't think it would be necessarily a bad option either.
Definitely see all those guys as good options. Also, as we see in these playoffs, one side, what we see is sometimes you just got to get in, and we need a guy that can get us in and knows what to do when we get there. We've seen in the past that we have guys that, one, don't know how to get us there to begin with, or get us there and Staley in the last couple of times, get us there and then don't know how to finish the job and fall short. So just wanted to make sure that we can just get in the building. We don't necessarily got to be like we saw the Cowboys go 12-4, wherever it was. We're a team that at least gets in the door. We want to see this team be a playoff team, and then once in there, anything is possible. I'm also learning for the playoffs too. And once we have the big names, and we're discussing all these guys, you just mentioned Vrabel and Harbaugh and Belichick. We see the success of young guys like Stroud and LaFleur and Jordan Love, who have younger coaches, who have very innovative coaches and support around them. Is there any desire to potentially go kind of younger again as you see the success of guys like this and have make sure you have a good offensive mind in the building that can bring the best out of Herbert, like we see coaches doing for Jordan Love and Stroud right now?
Well, LaFleur is a younger coach, but he is a veteran coach, like at this point, and coached Rodgers.
Absolutely.
So he's got that. But DeMeco Ryans, the first year with Houston. So that's been quite amazing to see between the chemistry between him and Stroud in his rookie year. I mean, you could go the young route. I saw that the Chargers today released that they interviewed Brian Callahan, the Bengals offensive coordinator. So that's a younger guy along the lines of what you're asking. If I'm a Chargers fan, I feel like I want the more veteran guy at this point. They've gone the younger guy route. He was more defensive minded in Brandon Staley, but you just done that and it did not work whatsoever. And it would feel like a similar thing to hiring Staley when, I don't know, Brian Daboll was on the table or whoever else like that they were interested in, where you have all these guys that have been successful head coaches in the NFL who have recently parted ways or gotten fired, available on the table, and then you go after the younger guy with promise potential. I feel like you've gone that route already. I probably would stick more veteran coach at this point.
Got it. Definitely still obviously see how valuable those veteran coaches are, and still have them at the top of the list. But if a guy, for example, there are folks that are mentioning like the Lions OC or people of that nature. You mentioned the Bengals OC as well in the mix. I'm apologize for blanking on their names, but if there are guys like that who show they are innovative minds that can, I just mentioned the Lions OC, seeing what the Lions are doing right now, can bring that over to the Rams and continue to elevate Justin Herbert's play. It makes it an interesting decision in comparison to a Harbaugh or Belichick, who, from what Harbaugh, we have seen what he's done definitely in the past, and we'll see how it translates. With Belichick, we saw how his offense, maybe it was because of the talent that he had, but it didn't quite work out in his last few stints with the Patriots. So, we'll see what decision they go with. Either way, excited for what's next for our guys here, and hope that they take their time and make the right decision. That they believe it's the right decision.
Yeah, fans are definitely antsy in these comments as I'm looking at the different head coaching interview postings. But I wanted to mention they hired your guy. I mean, they interviewed your guy, Mike McDonald.
Correct.
The Ravens D coordinator. How would you feel about losing him to the Chargers?
It would hurt, but also I see how great of a coach he is. So being one side's a Ravens fan somewhat, or Ravens fans, I've acknowledged on that side, it would hurt. But going to the LA side, I think it could be a great piece as well. He has a great defensive mind, very innovative on the defensive side, as we've seen, and what he was able to do to, for example, shut down the Niners as he did in some regard. Definitely that could bring new life to the Chargers defense that needs to revamp itself. And then if he can go and find an OC or whoever that could bring life out of Herbert as well, that definitely could be a nice pitch. So he appears to be a guy that is destined to be a head coach in the near future. Raven fans ourselves are debating like, hey, do we win this Super Bowl, and do we hopefully win the Super Bowl and let Harbaugh walk so we can elevate him to the head coaching job? Or do we just accept that he's going to be gone after the season? Because one way or another, he surely will be having that head coach cap next year. So he definitely is a great mind. And if it ends up being for the Chargers, I think that actually could work as well. So there's a lot of great pieces as you see in the tag. It's gotten very interesting in regards to the names in the mix. A few young guys that are showing up that could be great options. a few vets, all-time great names in the mix as well. That could be the head. So we'll see which way they lean, and we'll surely be covering it more as things go along. But yeah, very curious to see which way they decide to go in that. Any other thought for Chargers right now?
I saw they interviewed you guys OC as well too, Todd Monken. so like they're interviewing
Yeah.
both Ravens coordinators.
Stay with my Ravens though, man. We're trying. Let us finish our job first, and then talk to us. Don't get our heads too distracted right now. But yeah, excited to see again, as I said, where this all goes next.
Sure.
Hey, that's it for you with the Chargers.
That's it.
For sure. So again, we said at the end of each segment that we're doing for the LA stuff. Follow us on LA Sports Report. A lot of great stuff going on there. Subscribe to the show. Follow them on IG and Twitter and all of that. We'll continue to build it up, and looking forward to chat with you guys in the comments about what's going on there.